A masked criminal tries to fool police, and the Community Preservation Committee helps to move forward an effort to bring the Cape Cod Rail Trail to town. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, August 23rd, 2016. I'm Sarah Colvin. Barnstable police assisted in the arrest of a man wanted on local and federal drug charges. 31-year-old Sean Miller was arrested in West Yarmouth after police discovered him wearing an elaborate disguise. More now from Chief of Police Paul McDonald.
They then went in and searched the house. They did not locate Sean Miller. They did find 2 loaded firearms and approximately $30,000 in cash. After that, they interviewed the female and they asked them where Sean Miller was, and she said, "Well, you have him." And they kind of looked at each other, and they were back, and they had a conversation with what they thought was an elderly male. And while having a discussion with them, they saw that his pants were full of money. They took him back out of the car, and one of them just happened to touch him on the bicep-tricep area and found that he was rather muscular for being an elderly man. Then it was determined that he was wearing a mask, which can only be described as Hollywood-quality mask. For a minute there, this guy almost just walked away from the incident because he had such a clever and convincing disguise.
Miller was arrested. He's being held in Concord. He could face up to 20 years in prison. It's expected he'll be back in court August 31st. Well, as construction moves forward to extend the Cape Cod Rail Trail from Dennis into Yarmouth, Barnstable is continuing its work to pave the way for the trail to come here. This week, the Community Preservation Committee approved spending $404,000 to purchase land in Independence Park. CPC Chair Lindsay Council explains how the land fits in with the bike trail project.
This project was before us in 2008, as you could see on the list provided by Finance Director Mark Milne as 2008-112 council order for $321,000. That original deal was with the original trustee of Cobb Trust, David Cole, who unfortunately subsequently passed away. And our new trustee for the trust felt that this acquisition of the conservation restriction placed too much encumbrances on the property and would only entertain the option of buying the property in its entirety, which would mean a overall price of $725,000 for the parcel, for the 12 acres. So in negotiations with him and I and Laura, that price was worked out, which would mean appropriating the additional $404,000 for the fee interest in the entire parcel, which we can use here for parking for this future bikeway. And I recommend going forward that we approve it for all interests of the act. If there was some way to work out another use out there, perhaps some affordable housing or some other use, we should keep our options open. But in order to satisfy the requirements for the bikeway in the mitigation parcels, we would have to acquire the entire property to preserve the back 9.8 acres that was originally part of that negotiated arrangement. So that's why this is before you. And I think all in all, with options on the front 3 acres, which is really the buildable portion of this lot, we can make good use of it out there. It would also help to protect the down gradient water supply, which is in deep trouble right now, although that future is being looked at as we speak. So it's what we can do in the current situation. Unfortunately, we do have to require it all. So this letter of interest would bring the whole project for you, which will also be a good opportunity to update you on the rest of the Bikeway project.
It will still be several years before you can pedal on the path. Council provided an update on funding.
Yes, the total project budget right now to extend it from Peter Homer Park in Yarmouth to Mary Dunn Road in Barnstable will be in excess of $8 million for the construction. We are required to provide the right-of-way And out of that process, these requests have come forward. We have acquired other lands from the trust in this area, 2 other parcels for that from the trust previously. So that is our obligation under this agreement, to provide the planning money, which you've also funded here, and to provide the right-of-way. So this is the last piece of that. And I think when you total it all up, we'll be in the neighborhood of, I think we spent $52,000 on the other parcels. Mm-hmm. So we'll be right around $775,000 for land. And then the planning, I don't have that off the top of my head, but we've probably spent, I'd say $450,000 on planning. So that's where we're at.
The CPC voted unanimously in favor of that purchase. Next, Beth Johnson, Vice President of the Historical Society of Santuit and Cotuit, appeared before the Community Preservation Committee with a request for $16,810 in funding to help with restoration of the historic Samuel Dottridge homestead. Phase 1 of repairs began in 2015. Johnson's hoping to be able to complete Phase 2.
We even have the lilacs in front of the building the way they did in the 1800s. So, Phase 2, the total that we estimate for Phase 2 is $26,450, which includes those items. Last year, we fundraised and raised $9,640 in our annual appeal. And that left a balance of $16,810, which is why we're coming to the CPC and requesting monies. The project timeline, we hope to have everything done next year. The fireplace especially, and the shingles, everything hopefully is done from early March to the opening in June 2017. I think the town of Barnstable owes much of its culture and character to historical figures like Sam Dottridge and Nita Crawford. Preserving the Dottridge homestead will allow us to better serve the increasing number of visitors to the homestead, museums, and gift shop each year, and allow us to safely host our annual community events. And preserving it will help us continue educating future generations of Cotuit's rich heritage.
CPC approved that application. Meanwhile, the town's open space and recreation plan is in need of an update. Growth Management has asked the CPC for $20,000 to complete the assessment.
Normally, we reserve our admin funds for general administration, appraisals for property acquisitions, those kinds of things. This was a rather large request, and I felt that it should come before you for this discussion and to see whether you folks wanted to look at it that way or bring it in for full presentation, which we have done for many other housing studies and things of that nature.
CPC member Laura Schufelt advocated for the approval of the expenditure.
I think that coming out of the admin funds is the right place for it, because on a strict interpretation of the Act, the open space funds are supposed to be used for the acquisition of open space. So on a strict interpretation, I think the plans are supposed to come out of admin. That's not to say that if we had something real big, I wouldn't want to take it out of the other funds.
Right.
But for $20,000, I think we can do it. So.
After some discussion, the board did approve the letter. We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long daily news program, Barnstable This Morning, on Wednesday morning's show. We'll welcome Cape and Islands Workforce Investment Board Executive Director David Augustino live in studio. We'll talk ticks with Barnstable County entomologist Larry Dapsis. We'll learn all about the Barnstable Senior Center's Brown Bag Program, and we'll check in with Director of Finance Mark Mill live at 8 a.m. right here on Channel 18. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.